What's good? How y'all doing this evening? Back to the Don's favorite here on Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast. It's your boy the Don. Here with one of my co-hosts, Tyrone. What's good, man?
Hey, doing good. Just good. We're gonna talk Darren Hall today. I'm hyped.
Yes, Darren Hall, and we're gonna sprinkle in a little bit of Wayne Dunson the Jr. as well, because they both went to the same school. Might as well kill two birds with one stone. But mainly the focal point of this show will be Darren Hall. What's good, everybody in the chat? We got a special guest with us this evening, Derek Togerson from NBC San Diego. How you doing, man? Let everybody know.
I'm doing well, man. How you guys doing out there?
Hey, man, we can't complain. We got a lot of rain, tornado yesterday.
Yeah.
It's all good. So
yeah, I was telling Tyrone a little bit earlier. It's like it's 76 and sunny with a little bit of breeze here in San Diego. It's a horrible day.
Wow.
But I don't know why we live like this.
Hey, man. So, hey, thank you for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
All right, so Darren Hall, huh? I think you guys got a steal in the fourth round, to be completely honest.
Okay. We're gonna get into it in a minute, babe. If you're new to the channel, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this content out with Atlanta sports fanatics, and hit us up in the comment section. As always, come holler at your hometown sports podcast. All right, so Darren Hall, all right, you pretty much been covering almost every San Diego State University Aztec game. Tell us your initial take on Darren Hall.
Well, it's like what scouting reports said. I'm sure you guys all read up on him. It's the kid can play football. You know, he's a good hard-nosed football player. He started as a safety when he was a freshman at SDSU. Got into several games. Started at the very end of the year. Then they moved him to defensive back as a sophomore and a redshirt sophomore, and he tied for the nation lead at FBS with 16 pass breakups with Luke Barku, who's now playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really good secondary they've had here at San Diego State for a very long time. The guy, he's got a nose for the football, you know, not the biggest dude, not the fastest dude, great instincts. I mean, ball hawk, great in run support, which is always something you look for in kind of what they call, quote, undersized kind of defensive back, but he sticks his nose in there probably from his safety days. He's not going to let anybody get away. He wraps up. Just a hard-nosed football player. So you got a guy who's got a really good high football IQ. The only thing the coach is going to have to talk to him about this, it'll drive you nuts sometimes, is he's so aggressive to try and get to the football. And he had 3 picks last year. He took one back for a touchdown against Colorado, you know, a Pac-12 school on the road. In a game that they didn't have any time to prepare for because they were supposed to play Fresno State, and there was a COVID issue with Fresno State, so they threw Colorado on the schedule in 4 days and went and played him, and he was all over the field. So he adapts quickly. He just knows how to play the game, but he's going to be aggressive, so that leaves him vulnerable to double moves. He will give up big plays. So if you can get him to play in the system, then he's going to be a darn good addition for you guys. I know secondary is a bit of an issue out there in Atlanta.
Yeah, it has. So I don't like to compare, but I'm gonna do this anyway. From a former San Diego State brethren, DeMonte Casey.
Mm-hmm.
Which one has a higher ceiling? Darren Hall. Well, Darren Hall, but we know Casey been since 2017, I believe. So
yeah, well, they're very different players. Because I mean, DeMonte was a defensive back at SDSU, but he was a safety. And that's where he was going to have his best success because, I mean, they're different frame, different skill set. Both have a good nose for the football, but they're different kinds of guys. I think if they're used properly, if they're using the same kind of system, Darren's not going to be able to get to the quarterback on a corner blitz the way that DeMonte can get to the quarterback on a safety blitz. So they're different skill sets, different kinds of guys. Both can be incredibly effective types of players. I'll give you a comparison that I thought. I thought this when he was playing here. Another guy who I covered here for a couple of years, and we still had a professional football team that will go unnamed, is Casey Hayward. I went back and looked at him because they play the same similar kind of game, right? Just from watching him, he really reminded me the way he moves on the field of Casey. So I looked up Darren's scouting report, and it was the hard-nosed guy, good instincts, gambles too much, not great deep speed, 5'11", 190. So I looked up Casey coming out of Vanderbilt. Gambles too much, good instincts, not real great speed down the field, 5'11", 190. All Casey's done is play for a decade in the league and go to 2 Pro Bowls. So if you're getting that version of Darren Hall, which I think you're getting, that's the kind of level of player that we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
So do you really – so you, like you said, you went through a scouting report and you see Casey Hayward. How how was he really? Do you like? Are you a kid? Are you able to go talk to him at any time? Like his character, like how he was as a student, is this as like a player on the sideline? Was he a leader? Like how did you see him as that in that role?
Well, we talked to him mostly on Zoom, of course, over the last year or so. He was a sophomore when he was in 2019, so didn't talk a whole lot to him because there were other guys who were higher up, the upperclassmen, he did more focusing on. But just a couple of times being on the Zoom calls, and again, it's hard to really get to know anybody when there are 15 other people in there asking questions too. But he seems like a really respectful kid. Seems like a good leader. Remember, after his sophomore year, after Barku took off, he was the only defensive back who had started a game at corner at San Diego State. So we had to lead that room and bring some of these guys along. And they played really, they had to face guys like Zach Wilson, had to face guys like Jordan Love. And he played really well against those guys. I mean, in Jordan Love's last year at Utah State, the two games he did not have a touchdown pass were at LSU and San Diego State. And Darren Hall had 3 pass breakups in that game. So he plays well against really good competition, but he seems like a guy who's going to buy in. He wants to be a good football player. He wants to fit in. He wants to help whatever team he's playing for win. And one thing about San Diego State is, and this is the entire athletic department, it kind of rubbed off on all of these kids, is they didn't have a single COVID issue this entire time. Not a single program has had to miss any kind of game or practice, not the football program, basketball program, women's swim or dive team, none of them have had to miss because they all committed. They all said, listen, this is our last time to do this. We're not going to off-campus parties. We're not putting ourselves in these situations where we could possibly hurt the entire team or entire program. To a person, they've all done that. I know Darren was one of the guys in that locker room going, guys, it's a year. It's a year. Stay on the straight and narrow and let's do it all right. And then to their credit, they all have. So he seems like a dude who's going to really be a no-nonsense, good addition in the locker room as well.
Yeah, I know. Like just California is entirely with the COVID. I think they did a great job at trying to prevent the spread of it. So
yeah, it depends on who you talk to out here because there's actually a recall the governor attempt going right now. But I'll tell you what, right now things are California's doing a lot better than a lot of other states are because we have been so stringent and vigilant on things. So hopefully, the entire country goes and pulls out of this the same way it looks like California is starting to, which is amazing for the most populous state in the union to be able to say that. But you're relying on everybody else around you, man. Wear a damn mask, get the damn shot, do something good for everybody else, and let's all get on the same page and get the heck out of this, and we can all go and hang out in person from now on.
All right. So, what role do you think Darren Hall will play here in Atlanta? I know they mentioned Avery Williams today, saying that Avery Williams, the cornerback from school he played at. What school Avery played at?
Boise. Was it Boise?
Yeah, Boise State. Yeah, you're right. It's Boise State. So, he's going to be playing nickel. And they didn't really mention Darren Hall today during the press conference. DP's the defensive coordinator for the Falcons. They didn't bring that up. So, I'm assuming in the tape I watch, and there ain't that much tape of Darren Hall out there to watch freely, but he's an outside guy. Mm-hmm. So do you think he'll be an outside guy? Do you think they may end up moving him to nickel for competition, or do you think they may have him at safety? Experiment him at safety. So.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be playing safety. I think the guy you signed as an undrafted free agent, Dwayne Johnson Jr., I think he's the safety. He's bigger, he's faster, he's the thumper. He's got that more safety type mindset. So I think that's the guy who was going to be able to fill in a safety. I think you're talking about a Falcons secondary here whoever's the best guy on the outside is going to play the outside. Darren can play the outside, there's no question. He can play nickel, he can play slot. My guess is they probably start him more in a slot type of situation. Again, that's where Casey Hayward made his money when he was at the Packers his first 4 years, and he signed the big free agent deals with the Chargers. He became one of the best slot corners in the National Football League because he has that skill set to do it, just like Darren does. But if they don't have anybody better on the outside, they'll move him to the outside in a heartbeat.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's my thing. I think he'll probably be an outside guy. I know he had the experience of being the safety. They may experiment him. I just hope not. I'm just, that kind of give me anxiety issues with the last coaching regime. They want to experiment everybody everywhere, and it didn't work, and they continue to roll that same experiment to the end of the season. So
Well,
yeah,
Quinn seems like a guy though. He like if you give him the kind of people to play in his system, he'll have a great defense. But he's not very good at going outside of what his system is. It seems like Pease is one of those guys who's like, all right, what do I have? Go do what you do well. So if you've got a coach who's going to be a lot more, forget about getting me guys for my system. What guys do I have? And I'll create more of a system around them. Immediately, you're going to be better off. So if you look at, well, where does Darren Hall fit best? It's, well, what's he doing well right now? Is he, shutting down guys on the outside? Great, put him there. But you're not going to say put him in the slot just because you're a slot corner and that's what you do and that's what you're always going to do. If somebody on the outside is struggling, no, mix things up. Put your players in the best position to have success. There's something that Quinn, for some reason, maybe he was overwhelmed being the head coach and couldn't focus on the minutia of the defense. I don't know, but it was a huge mess. Pieces, I think, more of a guy who's going to be like, listen, we got to figure out where to put these guys to make sure they're having success.
appreciate you. Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. Hey man, no love, man. Ain't no love lost, man. Thank you for apologizing. We just try to keep it clean over here. And I saw the show last night too, by the way. So I saw you apologize yesterday. So it's cool, man. Everything good on our end.
So,
Dave, I forgive you.
so going, I want to go into Dwayne. I want to just transition to Dwayne a little bit. So you watched Dwayne too. You watched Dwayne probably as much as you watched Darren. Just give us like a because he didn't like he's an unsigned free agent. A lot of people don't know who he is. We just saw his name pop up. So give us a little bit like background and people that don't watch film and stuff. Give us what you saw to him.
He's an interesting guy because you look at he's physically imposing. Like he's a big dude, and but then in the game, he doesn't have the splash numbers, right? He doesn't make Troy Polamalu plays where he's jumping over defensive linemen to make sacks because he's timing that. He's not Ed Reed where he's all over the field ball hawking and picking stuff off. He's not, Rod Woodson, but he's always effective. Like you look up and he's co-leading the team in tackles. He's one of those fundamentally sound guys who is he's wherever you need him to be, he's going to be there. He's not going to make it flashy. He's not going to, he's not going to have those highlight reel plays, but he's always going to be that really sound football player who I call him glue guys. I'm sure you guys have heard that phrase before. He's a dude he does everything right. And when you do everything right, you tend to do things well. So if you're want a guy who's going to be out there and be in the right position and not give up big plays and do what the coaching staff needs you to do and find a way to bring the guy with the ball down, Dwayne Johnson Jr. is your guy. And I think he's going to be one of those kind of, one of those sleepers who probably starts off on a special teams type thing. I think he'll make the club definitely as special teams, as a gunner, something along those lines. I think he'll play his way into some playing time on defense as well because he's so reliable and coaches love having reliable players. They can listen, you might not pick off 10 balls a year, but you're not giving up 10 touchdowns a year either.
That's a good question. Go ahead, Tyrone. Go ahead.
Does he have like any injuries or anything that's happening like in college that might affect, or is he just like normal stuff like little cramps and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's been normal. Everybody gets throughout the course of a season. Everybody gets dinged, right? So he hasn't had any of those broken tib-fib combinations or ACLs, that kind of stuff. He's just been there and durable and solid.
Okay.
And this is the thing about Darren. I can see him. If he don't make the 53-man roster, I can see him being on the practice squad, hold him there for a year. You got Quez Denard here, and then you got some other guys. Isaiah Oliver, he'll probably be, I don't see him making it after next year. They're not going to really get him another contract. And same thing with Kendall Sheffield. You can move on from the guys, and then you can bring Dwayne in to replace them. So I can see that situation and that scenario playing out more because right now, yes, we do have a lot of DB. We have DB depth right now. In Jarvis, you asked a good question. You said, could you see Darren Hall play primary in that time set? It all depends what happens in count. If he's like the third best DB cornerback on the team, he'll be in the dime sets.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before. Is what do you need him to do? He can play inside. He can play outside. He's got the experience of safety, which he played also at high school, along as his freshman year at San Diego State. And he also, this thing about SDSU is their secondary has been really good for a long time, especially with Rocky Long and Brady Hoke both being there. And they teach everything. Like if you're a corner, you just don't work with corners. You know the safety play calls because you never know. There's an injury. You have to move over and do something. If you're down to just two corners, you got no safeties left. Well, guess what? The most experienced guy is going to go over and play safety. So he still coached and worked at practice at safety. So he knows every position on the field and in the secondary for that position flexibility. So you're getting a guy who can do anything you ask him to do, which is, I could completely see him in dime sets, even if it is a way to just kind of start working him on the field and seeing what he's got. And I know a lot of guys think that he's probably going to be more effective early in a zone type coverage, which more or less is what a dime coverage is. So he could very well play his way onto the field early in the year in those types of situations.
Yeah, my bad, y'all. I totally forgot Denard ain't on the team anymore. I know Fabian. We got Fabian. I feel like Fabian.
But Fabian's only here for a year, y'all. Unless next year, like this is what I've been saying, because everybody's been talking about like, oh, well, we got these guys this year. Look what we drafted. Like, look at really what we drafted. Every DB we drafted is for a position that's really almost open, if you really think about it. Because Fabian leaves next year. Eric Harris will probably, if we don't give him we gave him a 1 year, and we gave what's the guy from the Patriots in Detroit? I can't think of his name. Harmon, Deron. We gave Harmon a year. So all three of those spots, we got Richie. So we know Richie will probably be penciled in next year if Eric doesn't come back or Harmon doesn't come back. Richie will probably be penciled in there. Then you still have that. Well, I guess Richie will probably play free. So you still have that strong safety and another corner spot, because we already said AJ Terrell is cornerback number 1. So Darren Hall is going to what we drafted him at in the 4th round, and we didn't draft another corner really in this draft. Let's really think about who else we draft. We drafted more
Avery. We drafted Avery Williams, but he's going to be more of a he's a swift army knife. They saw
he's not moving. He's
playing offense, so
he's playing offense, defense. He's going to move around. So, and he's a punt returner. So really and truly, Hall is sitting there, and he's going to have, if he works and he works hard, and especially if he goes practice squad this year, like you said, for at least a year, I don't think Sheffield makes this team next year. I don't think who else is another corner we have on this team. I really don't think Sheffield makes it unless Sheffield balls out this year, and he probably will barely get playing time. I don't think he makes the team next year.
Well, I'll tell you, I doubt strongly Darren Hall is going to be a practice squad guy. You don't take a guy that the 3rd pick of the 4th round of day 3 of the draft, and then if you do enter practice squad in him, it means he got hurt and didn't show you enough during training camp, or for some reason it's not working out. Now Dwayne Johnson Jr., I could see him possibly practice squatting
as a practice squad guy.
Darren is a guy who, I mean, if you go out and get him at that point, then he's the first Mountain West Conference player off the board in the whole draft. Yeah, I think you're going to have to rely on him in some capacity to, even if he doesn't show the kind of development during training camp that you're hoping to see out of a guy, you might just simply not have enough numbers, and you need to see. Like I said, you got a bunch of dudes on 1-year deals. I see DeMonte didn't re-sign there. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to. Everybody's on it's a year-long audition in the secondary, so. You're going to have to say, well, throw everybody out there, give them some live fire rounds, and we'll see who comes out on top. And another thing is, remember, if he is playing in that kind of slot thing, you're going to see a lot of him against Kyle Pitts in practice. So if he can have any kind of success against that dude, people are already making the bust for Canton out of him, and rightfully so, he's a freak monster. If he can have any kind of success, even in training camp or practice against that dude, then he's going to be okay.
Not even just that. Like, if he's playing outside, he's gonna end up getting tested by Julio, Calvin Ridley. Yeah. You mentioned Kyle Pitts, but guess what? The other depth on the receiver core ain't no slouches neither. You got Russell Gage, you got Olamide Zaccheaus, Chris Rowan.
He's gonna have Darby, and we just got Darby late in the 7th round. He's still gonna have to go with Darby. He's still gonna have the Hayden Hurst. People forget about Hayden Hurst. Like, Hayden Hurst is going to be – him and Gage are my 2 secret weapons for next year on that offense, because Gage is so good as a 3 receiver, and Hayden, mind you, is all personnel, so there's really no tight end 1. We know Kyle Pitts will play a lot of snaps, but there's no tight end 1. And Hayden Hurst is still quick enough to where you give him a good route, and you got a double Pitts and Julio and Calvin, or try to – you got Hurst wide open. He can bust one. He did it versus Dallas last year, and he was just like, oh, he's fast.
Well, that's you just said double 3 guys on the offense. Okay, that's you got 6 guys now on your defense. You have to play against 3 players. You try doing that, they're going to run the ball right down your throat. And also, by the way, Matt Ryan's a pretty damn good quarterback. So you're talking about a guy who, if you have to deal with him carving you up in practice, you're going to learn real fast what the level of NFL passing is. Because if you don't, you're going to be out on that free agent wire real fast.
Well, most fans here in Atlanta they don't think Matt Ryan is a good quarterback. They wanted Justin Fields at 4.
Okay, explain this. Seriously, explain to me what he got Shanahan against the Patriots, right? So what is the deal with people? If you had, you could put 5 blocking sleds in front of him and you get better protection than he's gotten the last year and a half. What's the deal with people hating on Matt Ryan?
Man, you all the way in San Diego, and you understand there's some people that live right down the street from Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
It's funny that you know this all the way in San Diego.
That's
hilarious. It's hilarious that you know this and you're all the way across.
I've watched Matt Ryan play in person several times, right? Whenever they play I followed the Chargers around when they were in San Diego, and even if they moved up to LA for a little bit. And I've seen Matt Ryan in person multiple times. He gets the ball out quick. He makes good decisions. And sometimes now, does he try and force things, thinking he's Brett Favre sometimes? Sure. Okay, yeah, he does. But would you rather have Jimmy Garoppolo who can't stay healthy? No. Would you rather have half the quarterbacks in the NFL? No. They're in a really good position with Matt Ryan, a quarterback. You just got to get him all these weapons. That's the problem. They built the team from the outside in, right? You got all these weapons all over the place. But if your quarterback got to get the ball out in 1.3 seconds because he's under siege, getting strafed, and because he can't even get out of his drop before he has to get the ball out, it doesn't matter what you got on the outside. That's what I think they, for some reason, they haven't been able to figure out there. Put a couple dudes in front who can just give him time, and he'll be fine. He's proven that in his career.
This is why we drafted 2 linemen in this draft. We drafted Jalen Mayfield from Michigan, and we drafted Drew Dalman from Stanford.
There you go. And Stanford and Michigan are notorious for turning out offensive linemen. Those are 2 great lineman programs.
Exactly. And that's what we've been trying to tell people. And they had a press conference today, and they pretty much emphasized the offensive line, protecting Matt Ryan. That was the thing. The goal all along this offseason was to protect Matt Ryan. Not to get rid of Matt Ryan, but to protect him.
No, don't forget, Matt Ryan had the Falcons with huge leads on Dallas before Dak led the comeback because y'all couldn't tackle anybody. He put you in positions to win football games. When you got to deal with Drew Brees twice a year. You got to deal with Tom Brady twice a year, and you got to deal with now Sam Darnold now twice a year. Yeah, you're going to have to get into some shootouts. But Matt Ryan can win those games.
Yeah, exactly. You're right about that, man. Well, hey, appreciate your time, man. Hey, TJ, you got anything else?
Not really. Thank you for, like you said, just thank you for coming on.
Yes, we appreciate it, man. One more time, man. Let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me in my kitchen at the moment. I appreciate you guys having me on. I always love talking football. You find me on Twitter on Derek NBCSD for NBC San Diego, and we also do. If you have any baseball fans out there, we do an On Friar podcast. My cohort Darnay Tripp and I, and then you might see on there it says "Buckle Up the Mystery Podcast." My wife and I do a mystery podcast, which is kind of cool. So you check that out. We actually did one on the Georgia Guidestones, which is because like I said, she's from Alabama, so we know a little bit about the South down there.
Okay, well, hey, we may ask you to come on again when the Braves play the Padres. I think that'd be
absolutely, especially because I'm still a little bit ticked off that Freddie Freeman ripped the ML MVP from my boy Fernando Tatis Jr. last year. But don't
say that. I wouldn't say that.
He was completely deserving. He was completely. What's going on with the Braves right now? They have too much talent.
We don't have pitching. We don't have enough pitching.
Which is supposed to be, is Soroka hurt?
Soroka's hurt. Wilson's hurt. Freeze hurt. So we don't
from the rotation.
Atlanta right now just hurt city. Like even our basketball, no one can stay healthy, but we still winning. The Hawks still winning. So hey, it is what it is.
I know, I'm telling you, man. That's what the Padres are going through now. Right now, the Padres have 12 pitchers on the injured list. And they've only gotten 4 innings out of Dinelson Lamet, who finished 4th in the National League Cy Young Award balloting last year. It's been crazy the kind of injuries they've been going through. But when you got guys like Yu Darvish and Blake Snell up at the top of the rotation, you can kind of mitigate that as you go. But The problem there is, man, they're not scoring any runs, which is, I mean, I know that's aside
crazy.
from Ronald Acuna hitting everything that under the sun. You think he's doing his best Mike Trout impression. Everybody in baseball right now is not hitting, which is blowing my mind. Put the freaking DH back in the National League, please.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's the only reason our
hating
defense is bad.
I love the DH.
That's why Ozuna, like we have Ozuna, who is not built to play left field anymore, playing left field because we have to have him hit. Like it's not. The DH was perfect, and then they just was like, we're gonna take it away.
Well, it's an inherent advantage to half the league because no National League team is signing Nelson Cruz, right? No National League team is, to go back 10 years, is signing David Ortiz. Those are two, all-star 40 home run caliber dudes who half the league simply can't sign because Major League Baseball is adhering to this old, antiquated notion of, well, we haven't done it yet, so might as well not do it now. It makes no freaking sense. Even it up, let everybody have. Would you rather watch Nelson Cruz swing a bat or Max Fried swing a bat?
Nelson Cruz swing a bat.
Swing. I'd rather watch. I'd rather watch my dachshund to swing a bat than having to watch Blake Snell go up there and look at 395-mile-an-hour fastballs because he doesn't want to be there and give up an out and then kill a rally. It's ridiculous.
Our pitcher last night hit a grand slam, so hey.
And then everybody goes, pitchers who rake. Okay, great. He'll still finish the season hitting 118.
Exactly.
And that'll be one of 2 hits.
Yeah. It happens, everybody gets one pretty much. So
yeah, precisely. Everybody eventually gets, because if you get 100 at bats at the major league level, you by accident you're going to get a hit. You close your eyes and do this, and the fastball will find your bat for an infield single. It's going to happen at some point, but that doesn't mean you can hit.
I agree with you. Well, hey, man, thank you for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Fellas, I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll give me a call anytime.
Sure will. Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, if you're new to the channel, y'all already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this content out with Atlanta Sports Fanatics, and hit us up in the comment section. As always, come holler. It's your hometown sports podcast. It's your boy, The Dunn, with another episode of Dunn's Favorite here on Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast. Y'all have a great evening. We will have another show coming up tonight talking about Drew Dahman. TJ, he will be running that show tonight. So y'all stay tuned tonight at 8:30.
Then we got Kings Realm.
And then we got Kings Realm after the Hawks game. So it's a packed day today here at FILA Sports Podcast. All right. Y'all have a great evening. Y'all grab y'all some dinner, and we'll see y'all back here in a little bit. Holla.